September 2022, James May hit a wall at 75 miles per hour. No helmet, no roll cage. 15 seconds of silence. At 59 years old, this could have been it. The end of a 27-year career. The final episode of the Grand Tour. The last time Captain Slow got behind the wheel. But when he climbed out with a broken rib and said, "I've broken ribs before," everyone realized something. This wasn't the crash that nearly ended his career. It was the fourth one. And somehow, he kept it all hidden. Syria, Argentina, Norway, twice. This is the story of how James May survived 4 crashes that should have ended everything. And why the Norway tunnel was the one that finally changed it all. Welcome back to Tuna No Crust, the largest car TV show news on YouTube. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Let's roll. For 27 years, James May played a role, the sensible one, the voice of reason, Captain Slow. While Hammond collected near-death experiences and Clarkson turned wrecks into comedy, James stayed methodical, careful, the guy who checked the map twice. That was the narrative, the persona, the brand, and everyone believed it. Producers trusted him with challenges they wouldn't give Hammond. Fans assumed he'd survive what Clarkson couldn't attempt. Insurance companies gave him lower premiums. He was the safe bet, but Norway shattered that illusion in one brutal moment. And when people started digging into his past, they found something shocking. James May had been one crash away from losing everything for over a decade. December 2010, Syrian Desert. Top Gear Christmas Special. Top Gear was at its peak. 350 million viewers worldwide. The biggest motoring show on the planet. James May was 1/3 of the most successful presenting trio in television history. Clarkson's car gets stuck in a ditch. James volunteers to help with a tow rope. He makes one mistake, stands in the line when the rope goes taut. The rope snaps tight. James launches into the air like a catapult, comes down head first onto rock. He loses consciousness. Blood everywhere. Clarkson described it as very worrying, particularly the amount of blood. Rushed to hospital in the middle of the Syrian desert, severe concussion, stitches across his head, brain scan, IV drip. This is where most TV careers would pause. Medical clearance needed, insurance claims filed, lawyers get involved. But James joked, "I think the Syrians were just excited to use their new scanner." When he woke up, producers had a decision to make. Send him home, continue filming, one wrong diagnosis, one permanent injury, and Top Gear loses a host at its peak. James convinced them he was fine, went back to filming. At the time, everyone laughed. Another funny Top Gear moment, but that concussion went on his medical record. Insurance companies keep files, and every injury makes the next one harder to explain. Nobody asked, how many more of these can his career survive? By now, Top Gear was untouchable, the most watched factual program in the world. The trio at the height of their fame. They hit a locked gate, need bolt cutters from town 20 kilometers away. Clarkson decides they should ride horses. James protests, terrible idea. He climbs on anyway. The horse immediately throws him. James hits the ground hard. 3 cracked ribs. Here's what that means for a TV presenter. Weeks of recovery, production delays, insurance claims, medical evaluations. Every breath is agony. Every movement sends shooting pain through your chest. But James kept filming, days of driving over rough Patagonian terrain with 3 cracked ribs, made jokes about Clarkson's leadership. The producers watched this happen. The insurance companies took notes. Questions were asked about duty of care and workplace safety, but the show went on. Syria, 1 concussion. Patagonia, 3 cracked ribs, 2 major injuries in 4 years. Both times James downplayed it. Both times he went back to work immediately. And both times his file with the insurance company got thicker. At some point, the industry starts asking, is this presenter too risky? 8 years later, September 2022, Arctic Circle. By now, Top Gear was over. The trio had moved to Amazon for the Grand Tour. A massive deal, global reach, complete creative freedom, but James was 59 years old. And in television, age matters, especially when you're doing stunts. They're at an abandoned Cold War submarine base filming a Scandi flick. A massive tunnel bored into a mountain. Someone decides it's perfect for a drag race. The challenge, launch down the tunnel, hit maximum speed speed, brake before the wall. James picks a yellow Mitsubishi Evo, lines up at the entrance. Here's what he had for safety: nothing. No roll cage, no helmet, no neck protection. Studded winter tires designed for ice, not dry pavement. At 59, with 2 prior major injuries on his record, this was already pushing what any insurance company would cover. Hammond goes first, makes it. Clarkson follows, visibly nervous. "You're not going to enjoy that," he warns James. James launches anyway. The Evo tears into darkness, walls closing in. 80 km/h, 100, 110, 120. He's chasing Clarkson's number, focused, determined. Then the red warning lights. His foot slams the brake. The ABS chatters. The studded tires skip across concrete. The car isn't slowing. James yanks the wheel. The rear breaks loose. Now he's sliding sideways at 75 mph towards solid rock. The sound is sickening. The right side collapses inward, door panel crumpling, B-pillar buckling. The walkie-talkie flies across the cabin, strikes him in the face, blood immediately, then silence. You can see Jeremy step back from the violence on camera. Hammond can barely speak. 15 seconds of nothing, then James moves, climbs out on his own. Ambulance, hospital, broken rib, concussion, bloodied face. At 59 years old, in an ambulance with his 3rd major injury, James May's career was hanging by a thread. Later, James tweeted, "Apologies to Evo fans for binning the 8. #Bellin. Classic deflection. Make it about the car. Make it funny." But when pressed, he said something that changed everything. "I've broken ribs before. It's just boring, really." Before? That one sentence opened the floodgates. Fans started digging, rewatching old episodes, connecting dots. Syria 2010, knocked unconscious. Brain scan. Argentina 2014, 3 cracked ribs. Continued filming. Norway 2022, broken rib, concussion, 75 mph into rock. Back to work in 48 hours. 3 major injuries across 12 years. Each one downplayed, each one joked about, and each one adding to his file. But Norway was different, because Norway went public in a way the others hadn't. The footage was brutal. The crash looked fatal. Social media exploded. And suddenly, everyone was asking the same question: how is James May still allowed to do this? Days after the tunnel crash, James was back in a car, approaching the finish across a frozen Finnish lake. The ice gave way. His Evo plunged through into freezing water. He escaped, soaked, freezing. Another scare. 2 crashes, 1 expedition. Same 59-year-old presenter. Clarkson couldn't believe it. Having expressed his displeasure at being left behind, he crashed again. Hammond joked that James was impersonating him, but behind the jokes, the math was simple. 4 crashes, 12 years, 3 continents. At what point does the career become unsustainable? Here's what 4 crashes across 12 years actually means for a TV presenter. Every injury is a production delay. Every hospitalization costs money. Insurance companies keep files. Sponsors watch closely. Streaming platforms calculate risk. After Syria, Top Gear continued, but medical clearance was needed. After Argentina, questions were asked internally about duty of care and safety protocols. After Norway, the conversation changed completely. At 59, with a broken rib and concussion from a 75 mph impact, James wasn't just recovering, he was proving he could still do the job. Because in television, once you become too risky, the calls stop coming. Contracts don't get renewed. Insurance becomes impossible to get. Richard Hammond had 1 major crash, the dragster in 2006. It nearly killed him, put him in a coma for 2 weeks, and became his defining moment. James May had 4, and somehow kept it quiet enough that his career survived. But Norway changed the calculation. The footage was too public, the injuries too frequent, the age too high, the risk too obvious. Something had to change. The crash didn't end James May's career, but it ended an era. The Mitsubishi was a write-off. Engine moved inches left, body twisted. The intercooler plumbing looked like a trombone through a mangle. James said. A local shop worked through the night to resurrect it. By morning, the Evo was drivable. James climbed back in, finished the expedition, but behind the scenes, conversations were happening. Producers had to face reality. At 60, with 4 major crashes on record, James May couldn't keep doing high-risk stunts. Not because he wasn't willing, because the insurance wouldn't cover it. His next project was Our Man in Japan, a travel series. Slower, safer, curious instead of dangerous. Then Our Man in Italy. Same formula. Both became huge hits for Prime Video, millions of views, critical acclaim. Proof that James May could carry a show without risking his life. The Grand Tour continued, but differently. The dangerous stunts scaled back. The challenges became less about speed and more about endurance, culture, exploration. Norway didn't just change James, it changed what the Grand Tour could be. The era of safety third was over. After Norway, people saw him differently, not just as the careful one, but as someone who'd been taking the same risks as Hammond and Clarkson all along, hiding behind humor and self-deprecation while everyone focused on the other two. When asked what went through his mind at impact, James said, "I just thought, I'm gonna hit the wall, so I mustn't hit the cameraman. I even thought I mustn't hit Jeremy Clarkson, even sliding into a wall at 75 miles per hour, worried about everyone else." When asked about the scariest moment while filming, he mentioned Hammond's crash. "I suppose the brief window in which I believed Richard Hammond killed himself going up the mountain." That's who James May is, not the careful one, not the sensible one, someone who takes risks but deflects attention, someone who gets hurt but makes jokes, someone more worried about his crew than himself. After Hammond's 2006 crash, James admitted, "It didn't make me think, oh, everything we do is going to kill us, because most of the things we do aren't." But 4 crashes later, even James had to admit, maybe some things actually are too risky. The Norway crash happened 2 years before the Grand Tour's final special aired. This wasn't a swan song, it was business as usual that forced an industry reckoning. The footage went viral, social media erupted, insurance companies took notice, and behind the scenes, the conversation shifted from should we to can we even afford to? Within months, James was filming Our Man in Japan, a travel series with no crashes, no speed records, no 75 miles per hour impacts, just curiosity, culture, and conversation. It became one of Prime Video's biggest hits. Then, Our Man in Italy, same formula, same success, proof that James May's appeal wasn't the danger, it was him. The Grand Tour continued, but differently. The remaining specials dialed back the aggression, less speed, more endurance, fewer stunts that could kill you, more challenges that tested wit and resilience. Norway drew a line. Before that crash, James May could do almost anything on camera. After it, the industry said no more, not as punishment, as protection. The tunnel crash proved James could survive, but it also proved he'd been gambling with his career for over a decade. It forced everyone, May, the producers, Amazon, the insurance companies, to finally ask, how many more crashes can one career survive? The answer was exactly 4. Norway was number 4, and that's where the line got drawn. James May survived because of luck, engineering, and an absolute refusal to quit. But Norway forced his career to evolve, from high-risk stunts to thoughtful exploration, from speed to curiosity, from danger to depth. In doing so, he proved something more important than his ability to survive crashes. His value wasn't in the risks he took, it was in who he is, the jokes, the knowledge, the way he sees the world. So what you think? Did Norway save James May's career by forcing him to change? Or did it rob us of the presenter who was willing to risk everything for the story? Drop your answer in the comments. I am Tuna No Crust, Top Gear fan forever. Thanks for watching.